That's Marco D'Amico. You can follow him on X. He's the senior editor for RG Media, which takes us to this fun little topic as you're watching Ivan Demidov on highlights all over the place, and that's what I have in common with Nikita Zadorov. I also watch Ivan Demidov highlights, and I am also left with a, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see this guy. And I had one of my more preposterous takes I think I've ever had. You could see this golf staff bag right over here, my Titleist golf bag here, an indicator that I like to play golf, a little psychotic when it comes to playing golf. And I'm willing to give up the entirety of my 2025 season just so I can get to September of 2025 and training camp can start and I can see this guy. That's how anxious I am. But Nikita Zadorov dropped a little interesting tidbit on rg.org. I'll link the story to this video. So check the comments. It'll be the pinned article in the comments section. Igor Rabner has the story at rg.org about Nikita Zadorov suggesting that the Chicago Blackhawks made a mistake with their draft pick and Artem Lushenov and not going with Ivan Demidov. I mean, the hype train, brother, the hype train is going at warp speed. Whether it's Tony DeAngelo, now proud member of the New York Islanders, throwing flowers at the feet of Demidov, Nikita Zadorov, watching this young phenom who is setting records, doing unbelievable things for a player of his age with the minutes allotted to him. It's hard not to get excited for Canadian fans with Ivan Demidov. It seems every other day, every week, there's a highlight, there's a quote. No one's asking you to talk us off the ledge here with the excitement, but is it going to be difficult for this kid to live up to the hype, man? Because there's so much hype around him, and we haven't seen him play in the NHL.
He doesn't care. He loves it.
I love it.
We've interviewed him a couple of times over at RG. We're actually the only outlet in North America that's actually gotten access to him.
That's
and
awesome.
in the interviews that we've had with him, first of all, he sees all of you fans. He reads. He is on social. He loves the adulation. He loves the support, and it fuels him every day, knowing that it isn't just Russians watching him play. In North America, it's probably around like 11 o'clock, noon, 1 o'clock, depending on where he's playing in Russia. And he absolutely loves it. He goes on Instagram and sees what's going on with the team, loves following the team. He's fully aware of what's waiting for him. Like his agent, Dan Milstein at Gold Star, has prepared him very much for what's coming. But the thing is that in Russia right now, he is also a star. And he is like same level as Michkov in terms of how excited people are about him over there. And so I don't think it's anything new, but what I think is going to be key here is that he has the personality to play in this market. He has the social gravitas to play in this market. Like, and I don't want to compare the players and come off negatively in this case, but like a Matvei Michkov is still using an interpreter to speak in Philadelphia. And it's not exactly the smoothest thing. He's, going to be fantastic, awesome player. And I'm not even saying like this isn't even a question of if the Canadians made the right pick or not. I'm just comparing two players. But if you look at the personality on Demidov taught himself English just so he could, because he knew he was coming, and was cracking jokes left and right to the media. Like when we spoke to him, I think we had like 30 seconds of a 10-minute interview where it was just laughs, like laugh bits, because he was just cracking jokes. And he's a serious player everywhere else on the ice, but when it comes time to talking about himself and the game, he takes himself very lightly, and it's all about the moment and enjoying himself. So I don't necessarily think you have to worry about overhyping him. What I did like, and I think this is a key thing in the interview with Zadorov, is that he didn't point necessarily, like obviously everyone sees the flashy highlights, whatever. Yes, cool. Eric Engels has a funny thing where he goes on Twitter and every time it's a fantastic goal, he's like, another highlight reel, because it's true. He's a highlight reel machine. But what's key here, and what I like the most, and what you don't see in the highlight reels, is that his attention to detail, defensively. And this is the reason why a lot of people are wondering whether or not he can actually be a center in the NHL. I personally don't believe it, but here's why. Is because his two-way game continues to improve game after game after game after game after game. And you see him impact the ice at both ends. For a 19-year-old in the KHL, that generally doesn't happen. It's all offense. Let me get the stats. Let's go. So
Right.
I really, really find that that's going to help him actually transition a whole lot better into Montreal, because if you have that coming in, it's going to be a whole lot easier for you to get those minutes. You're going to get that trust right off the bat.
In the story at rg.org, Nikita Zadorov, quote, "If I were Chicago, I would have taken him. When you have a player with such natural talent and hockey IQ, in my opinion, you grab that and the rest will work itself out. You can teach defense, and he's shown a willingness to improve that part of the game. And I like that because, you want us obviously guys that are coming here with the right mindset, but also the right attitude and willing to put in the work, that no one comes here that's entitled, that believes they're owed a first line role, first wave of the power play. You got to work and progress your way up to that and earn that
Mhm.
at this level of hockey. That is there a pattern there with players that the Canadiens executives and Gorton and Hughes are attracted to? Because I've seen that now. They talk about Uri Slafkovsky's attitude. They talk about Lane Hudson, um, you know, the fact that he pushes through adversity, being a smaller guy, but he's got a big brain, Bob Robb said, and that's a hard
Yeah.
combination to put together. And then I'm reading Zadorov on rg.org talking about the willingness to put in the work. My brain can put that together in a sequence and say that's exactly who the
Mhm.
Canadiens are looking at. And so, what do you make of that strategy of character that makes sure that talent is one thing, but the mental makeup to be able to exist, that's an important thing in Montreal, is it?
Yeah, I agree. I think it does. But, I'll throw another anecdote here. There was a 10-game stretch this year, which honestly feels like forever,
Yeah,
where Ivan Demidov was basically playing 4 to 5 minutes a game on the fourth line,
exactly.
despite being like one of the top three scorers on the team.
Yeah,
And it takes a lot of mental fortitude not to crack in those situations, especially when you know that you're probably the best offensive player on the team, but that they're holding you back for like political and financial reasons, as they try to enforce the idea of extending him over there, which is not going to happen. But the
right.
idea, he could have come out and complained about it. We asked him point blank at RG, and he said, it's the way it is. It's all young players in the KHL go through it, and I'm just going to keep working on myself and get better. And hopefully my performances will earn me more minutes. And
Yes.
that is exactly what I'm talking about. Whereas we've seen other younger players in the KHL complain about this and then get banished basically to the fourth, because they play 13-7, right? Like you have a 13 forward when you play in the KHL. So it allows them to kind of have that fluidity,
Yeah.
um, and choose to bench a player if they want, because you have to play a young player in the KHL. You have to dress him. You don't have to play him, but you have to
You got
dress
to
a
dress
young
them.
player.
Right.
They have a quota for that. And so you can play that game, but he didn't play that game at all. And ironically enough, it was his coach and manager, in it for Ska, that really just would never compliment him. Always said, "Oh, he's got to work on this, or he's got to be careful about that, and this is the reason I'm not using him." That, and now he's being forced to play Demidov 20-ish minutes a game, right? And now
Yeah.
he's starting to sing his praises. So when you have a Roman Rottenberg who is
Yeah.
very like very difficult to get a compliment out of, coming and really starting to compliment the play of Ivan Demidov, knowing full well he's leaving, that to me says a lot, because without being overly disrespectful, there is significant potential for pettiness, and he has shown the
Sure.
potential to do so in the past. So for him to, continue to give those flowers, I am not saying he's necessarily going to be an 100-point player right off a guaranteed 100-point player. He's obviously trending towards being
Yes.
an
Yes.
offensive superstar.
Yeah.
But I think what everyone is pointing to is not simply just the talent. And I think that's the most important part.
Man, oh man, the excitement is palpable. I mean, it's legitimate. I mean, I've been watching this team. You've been watching this team for a long time. I mean, this
Mhm.
seems as legitimate, as bona fide as I've seen. Really,
Yeah.
as I've
Well, I
seen.
mean, we talked about this the last time, but when you look at the quarter century teams,
Yes,
and
come on,
and
come on.
1 point per game player on there,
Yes,
maybe
yes,
two by end of
yes,
season, but like
yeah.
1 point per game player,
And really,
to me is
Shea Weber over PK Subban. Really, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about that.
if I
Who's
speak,
the
I'll
le-
get in trouble.
who's? Anyways, I don't know about that, but
Yeah.
I did like the troll job of Thomas Buchanan. Say, hey, Gallagher, you're back with Mika Subban.
Yeah. Along.
It doesn't take a neuroscientist to read between the lines on that one.
Yeah. Well, if ever we wanted to do an episode on what exactly went down 10 years ago,
yes,
good Lord.
yes,
But when it comes to, I do want to take 1 second just
Go
to
ahead.
say, the Canadiens got very lucky with Demidov falling to them. But let's also like call a spade here. Like Artem Levshinov is not playing bad in the AHL as an 18-year-old. He's playing really good. A right shot defenseman, and there's you're not going to get one where Chicago's picking this year. You're not going to get one there. They may get a left shot defenseman in Matthew Schaefer, but then that opens up another can of worms with Kevin Korchinski and whatnot. So that's fine. I see what they were trying to do. What I will say is it's too soon, in my honest opinion, to make definitive calls. That it's very, very likely that Demidov becomes a star. Now, whether superstar, we'll get there. But the only thing I want to say is it's so detrimental to these young players, in my honest opinion, to start making these calls now. Because you look at Artem Levshinov, I think he's going to be a top pair right shot defenseman. You look at a guy who is ripping up the OHL right now, and Beckett Seneca, he looks like he's going to be a fantastic player. And if it wasn't for Caden Lindstrom's back, and obviously, having that injury come up over the summer and flare up again over the summer and requiring surgery, we would have a far different conversation. So I think it was just a very strong draft, and the Canadiens happened to get the superstar, in good karma, because other teams were bullish on his, the lack of viewings because the Canadiens were the only one that saw him live, and also, the fact that he was playing in the NHL the whole year. Canadiens took a gamble at that rank that everyone would have taken. And now you're looking back on it and you're like, wow, good for them.
Yeah.
But how many times have the Canadiens been guilty of the opposite?
Exactly. Forever. I mean, good grief. They drafted Michael McCarron because Milan Lucic was mean to Dale Weiss in the handshake line. You know what I mean? Like, we need someone to answer to Milan Lucic in Boston. Michael McCarron at 22nd overall. You're the guy.
Core memory unlocked. Thank you so much for that.
I'm happy McCarron has found a home. Like, he's a pro, He's found a home as a pro.
Fantastic.
Like 22nd overall because Milan Lucic said mean things to Dale Weiss one time. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know, bro. So that's what I'm saying. It feels great. It feels great for long-suffering fans of the organization that mired in mediocrity to Andy Dufresne, Shawshank Redemption style, come out clean on the other side. Marco D'Amico from RG Media, rg.org is where you want to find him, where you want to read him on the daily. You can find him on Blue Sky. You can find him on X at MN D'Amico, his handle across all your socials. Marco, thanks as always. Great stuff. We'll catch up again real soon.
Looking forward to it. Have a good day, everybody.